I think it's very inspiring for me to hear why you guys all do what you do. One thing I would love to know, and then I'll turn it over to the audience, is you guys are on the other side of it. You've started channels. Some of them are non-educational channels, and I think once you're on the other side, what kind of advice would you have? I'm sure there's people here in the audience today who would aspire to do what you guys do, maybe in their own special style or way, but what kind of advice do you have for them? Because creating, as you mentioned earlier, creating educational content can be challenging in ways that are different from creating other types of content that is successful on YouTube.
I would say that for me, the biggest thing is not to have, not to necessarily want to have, to be a YouTuber and make videos, but for me the key is that, like, I'll wake up in the morning and I'll think, like, isn't it so amazing that like the Earth exists? And for, there's countless different reasons why, and I just want to share that with people. I think that's really the key, is you find people who are, if you're so passionate about something that you just can't bear not sharing that with somebody. I don't mean like with Instagram or something, but like seriously sharing the wonder, not just a picture of it. Sharing the beauty and the majesty of the universe, or of human history and human struggle. That's what's going to make your videos interesting and successful, and make people want to share that experience with you. If you can be really, really passionate, and if you wake up or at any time in the day, like if you have things that you want to let other people know about, and not that you want to, like, I didn't start off saying I want to make a successful YouTube channel. I started off saying physics is awesome and I want to share that with people. And I don't think it's being done in high schools. I think people think physics is boring in high schools, which it kind of was. So I don't know how I ended up studying physics after high school, but I did. So that's my thought.
Commit to making a bad video. I mean, people talk about how, oh, you should just get started and don't be afraid, and I'm sure it will be awesome. But just know that when you start, that's when you're starting. And it's okay to make a bad video. And if you kind of frame it in that way, I'm just going to commit to making a bad video. Let's see how this goes. And you're going to learn so much that you can then apply to making better videos and better videos. So people think of my videos as being, oh, the doodling in math class stuff. But my YouTube channel existed over a year before that stuff, and there's plenty of bad videos, completely different on there. But you learn how to edit, you learn how to upload, you learn all those little things you don't want to think about once you're making good videos.
Ask questions. Whether or not you're someone like Henry who already knows loads about physics, and he's then surrounded by other amazing physicists, and he'll go and ask them a question to help inform what he's doing. Or you're someone like me who doesn't really know very much and is a bit thick and just has to ask lots of questions to the scientists until you find out. That doesn't matter. There's nothing wrong with asking a question. And if you get the answer and you don't understand the answer, ask the question again. There's nothing wrong with continually asking questions. Because unless there are lots of Nobel Prize winners out there that I don't know about, you probably don't actually know that much about what you might be making a film about. And then you'll be like me and have to find out. And you might consult experts, like I know some of these guys do, or you consult the Uber experts because you have access to them. But there's nothing wrong with asking questions. It doesn't make you look stupid. In fact, when I ask dumb questions to the scientists, they respect me so much more. They're like, that's a really good question, I'll say. I've never been asked that before. And sometimes the question is just, what's that on that shelf over there? And they'll be like, and they'll tell me, and then they don't realise how amazing these things are. So never be shy about asking a question. It doesn't make you look stupid. Science is all about asking questions, and scientists love people who ask them questions.
And I think really closely related to that point is that you should give your audience credit in that, to sort of speak to what John was saying about the beautiful mess that is YouTube education. All of the subject matter that we talk about is the same way. Like, the beauty of physics, the beauty of chemistry, the beauty of math, the beauty of history, the beauty of the arts is that it is a mess. It is just a confusing mess. And that, I think that is the reason why so many of us talk about how we were so bored in high school or in some of these classes, and that a lot of instructors, I think, want to hide the mess from you. And I think if you don't hide the mess, and if you embrace it as the thing that is interesting, coupled with asking really good questions, that is what a real meaningful educational experience is.
Yeah, on that subject of crediting your audience with intelligence, I think that's hugely important, and to trust, as Henry does, that that there is a way into telling any story, even a very complex story. I remember I was in college the first time I was in an intro to biology class in college, the first time in my career as a student when I asked a question and the professor said, "We don't know," and I was not aware of the fact that there were things in science that were not known. I thought like science was a series of memorizing the things that the people had learned, and that all of the things had been learned, and that I just had to slowly memorize all of them. And it was so incredibly exciting to me as a 19-year-old to discover that at least in one small way, I'd gotten to the end. I'd gotten to the cool, messy, confusing part. And that was the first moment in my education when I realized that the idea of the hard sciences being so far away from the soft, namby-pamby social sciences was a completely wrong idea, and a wrong-headed idea. And a lot of what the most exciting educational content on YouTube does is take its subject matter, whatever it may be, and sort of upend your expectations about whether it's quote-unquote hard or quote-unquote soft. And so I would ask you to credit your readers, or credit your viewers, sorry, I'm used to going to different kinds of conferences. Credit your viewers with intelligence, and the other thing that I would say is you're gonna have to find a way to talk about this stuff that is interesting to people, and that's not easy. As Hank and I have learned, even if you're pretty good at talking to a camera, if you're just talking to the camera the whole time, it's really, really hard to explain what you're talking about, which is why so many of these guys either rely on drawings, illustrations, animations, or other ways of talking about it, because just the talking head can be challenging.
I'll just add an anecdote. When we're doing a crash course biology, I'm always looking for things that aren't in the textbook and trying to be okay, so, but I don't really just keep asking questions. Even though I know a fair amount about biology, but I never really learned this, and I don't really get why didn't we learn that? Why don't I know why? How the motor proteins line the chromosomes up precisely in the middle during mitosis? How do they do that? It's so perfect. And then I just dove into that, and I was how do they do it, how do they do it? And I found a study that explained that actually they had figured out how it works, and I'm not going to go into that, but it was published in 2012. And we didn't have that when I was in school, because we didn't know that when I was in school. And the fact that science is an ongoing process is just really exciting, and I feel like it's ignored. And they're when you hit that wall and you're we don't know this, usually you don't bring it up. But my favorite thing to do is to say and we don't know that, and when you become a scientist, maybe you can figure it out, because that's how it works. That's science.